Hello, and welcome back to the channel. As most of you know, I'm Topher. And for those of you who don't know and just randomly decided to click on my video, welcome to the channel. I'm Topher. Thank you for stopping by. So we're here to do a reaction, and we're diving back into the Miracle of Teddy Bear. We're diving into episode 13. We are so close to the end of the series, y'all. Yeah, my original plan, like I said in last week's episode, was to start doubling up with starting this week and just until we made it through the end. I don't know that I'll be doing that this week either, because if you've been following my shenanigans over on Twitter or even here on YouTube or Instagram, you would have seen where I was out in Chicago last week for the SB19 concert, and then this week, tomorrow, I'm flying out to Vegas for the Kelly Clarkson concert. So I've just been very busy and haven't had as much free time to record and whatnot while, still working while I'm in town. So once I get back, my plan is to start doubling up till we're finished with this, but I think there's only 3 episodes left, so that'll be like 1 week worth of doubling and then just a single episode. So we're almost done with this series. It's been quite a journey. So let's dive in and see where we left off. When we left off, we were surprising Nut at the hospital, like, hey, here's Tarn. So we're going to see how that works out.
คือดอกไม้ดอกเดียวในโลกและมึงก็คือดอกไม้สุดพิเศษของกูคนเดียว
Okay. Extremely emotional episode. Extremely emotional. Oh my god. So many things happened in this episode. There were so many fantastic conversations in general, but just so many emotional elements. We started off where we left off last time with them at the hospital visiting Tarn, and just kind of Nut feeling the emotional, I don't know, just the emotional weight of everything there, because he was not prepared. And that was kind of what that first conversation with him and Tofu was. It wasn't Nut being upset or anything like that. It was really just him being overwhelmed, because this was the last thing that he had on his mind. And he expressed his concerns, and his concerns and Tofu's concerns, they mirrored each other. Like they had the exact same things that they're worried about, just for the other person, where it's like, hey, when you said that you remembered this person, I was a little worried, because I was afraid that you would get your memory back and you would leave, or this might be someone that you were in a relationship with or something like that, and I would have to give you up if you got your memory back. So part of me didn't want that to happen, but the other part of me is like, I can't keep you from this, because I don't want to see you hurt. Because of me, I want to see you happy, blah 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 blah. And Tofu's feel the exact same thing, where it's like, I don't want to introduce you to Tarn, because I know what a big part of your life he was, and I know how important he is to you. And I fear that I might lose you, but also I don't want to keep this from you and leave you in the dark and potentially hurting, blah 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 blah. So it's like they're both having the exact same concern, exact same feeling, and it's lovely to see just the emotional growth that has taken place over the course of this series. I've probably said it a dozen times throughout the last 4 or 5 episodes, but like, look at where Nut is now on an emotional level in comparison to where he was episode 1 through like 7. Not to say that he's not still very emotionally driven, very passionate. He's very much that. He still has that streak of like, you can see the anger wanting to boil up in him from time to time, but he's gotten much better at just managing that as the series has gone on. And that whole first scene of him and Tofu just talking on the park bench or whatnot, was just such a beautiful, soft, sensitive side of Nut that we have not seen an abundance of. Like, we've seen him feel sad and remorseful and blah blah blah, but just the tone of his voice, the tone of the conversation, and everything just felt like such a different emotional place that we haven't really seen Nut from in this series as of yet. And it's beautiful. The acting is so well done. So then we go back to the hospital, and we run into Sen and Jan, who are coming to visit for whatever reasons they have to visit. And then that turns into, all right, well, let's have a family lunch, blah, 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 blah. And I said in that scene, I love how Jan wanted to come and play dirty little mind games. She wanted to play games and start throwing words and throwing little daggers, blah blah blah, just because she's trying to get a reaction. That's all she's doing. Does she actually mean these things? Does she, is she terribly homophobic? Or, yes, I get, coming from an older generation, blah, 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 whatever. But are these actually her thoughts? I don't know. But she likes to have that power over people where she can just feel like she's in control and can, like, just toy with people's emotions. So it was very much just a power play. She's trying to mess with you, not because she necessarily wants anything from you, but because she can. When it comes to Na, that is a very sore subject for her, so she's messing with her as much as she can because she's spiteful, vengeful, and just wants to wreck Na's life. But everyone else is very much that, just sort of like power play. And like, you know what, I want to showcase what power I have over you. I want to make you feel some type of way. So what I loved about how that whole scene went down is that nobody went above like an emotional 4 as far as their volume level and how they were speaking to each other. Now, if you wanted to like read below the surface, like, yes, the emotions were high. It was a tense lunch, and the more Jan talked, like, I was feeling like my blood boiling because it feels like very real world interactions with people. Like, have you ever come across those people where, whether it's their homophobic or hating against gay people, or they're hating against transgender people or black people or Spanish people or immigrants, or like whatever, people just very close-minded frame of old way of thinking, whatever, however you want to frame that, but where you try to have just a legit conversation with them and just explain that, hey, we're human beings too. We're not asking for you to accept our lifestyles. We're not asking for your blessing, blah, blah, blah. All we're asking is that you treat us like a human being, because that's what we are. We're just asking for the same rights that other people have, because other people are just like us. They just happen to love someone with something else between their legs. At the end of the day, all we're asking for is we're just asking for respect. You don't have to love us. You don't have to be our best friend. You don't have to do anything like that. But we just want to exist in this world without fear of judgment, without fear of ridicule, without fear of this, that, the other. So, you're just very calmly, politely explaining why different groups of human beings deserve to be treated like human beings. And they just continue to argue their side, but they're not really arguing their side. They're just close-mindedly saying things to try and get you angry, to try and knock you off the topic at hand. It feels very much like politics, honestly, where it's like you're trying to focus on this particular point, and the opponent is basically just saying anything they can to knock your focus and get you veered off in this direction, potentially get you angry, irate, and emotional, so then they can then turn around and be like, oh, well, look at how emotional this person is. They can't be trusted to handle this, that. Like, that sort of tactic. It's very frustrating, very infuriating. So during that whole conversation, like, I was sitting there, like, and my blood pressure was starting to rise because I'm like, Jan, I swear to, because there's some people, like, I would love it if we lived in an ideal world where words were enough to convince everyone, but there's some people that you just cannot convince. You just cannot persuade them to listen to reason. They are just going to think the way they think, and that is that. They are going to live fast by that, and they are going to die with that. That is just them, and you just gotta wait for them to die off. So I was starting to get a little like, because it was frustrating. It's frustrating because everything that Nut was saying, and Prib was saying, and Gen was saying, and Song was saying, everyone at the table was basically just putting Jan in her place, like, hey, you don't have to be gay, or you don't have to be disabled, or you don't have to be this, that, and the other to speak up for other people's rights. You don't have to do this to see other people as human. There's nothing wrong with what we're doing, and she's just still out here just spewing venom. Quietly and calmly, just spewing venom and slurs and this, that, the other, and I'm just like, oh. So what I loved is, even in the spite of all of that, no one else who was a part of that conversation was giving in. No one was succumbing to her mind games. No one was giving her the satisfaction of getting angry and getting irate and giving that big emotional reaction that she was trying to get. She was trying to poke and prod and get this reaction, and no one was giving her that satisfaction. So I'm very happy about that aspect. And then Gen seemed to be the one. Actually, let me take it back for a second, because I don't quite remember everything that he said during that lunch, but he was actually the one who was telling her something to her face, to the point where she was feeling some type of way. Hold on, let me back. There's a way to show respect. And she out here just wilding, and if you don't get it, I'll be happy to explain it when you're free. There are many things we need to discuss. Got it? So I don't know exactly what Gen knows. I don't know exactly the depths of what it is that he knows. But, you know, he was speaking as though he knows something that she does not want made public. And he's like, basically, there's all, like, listen, there are all kinds of people in the world. You know, people express themselves through whatever gender. You can choose to be whatever you want. This, that, they were hammering home a lot of political topics that are hot button topics right now. And I appreciate, you know, we might have been a little heavy-handed in the conversation, but, you know, I appreciate us trying to get this dialogue happening. So he was letting her know this, and he's like, so if there's any time that you're free, I would be happy to discuss this further with you. I'd be happy to educate you, basically, as well as there's other things that I would like to discuss. Sajari, and like, oh, and you saw her face. She was shook. She turned cold, and she was like, oh. And then that's when Sen had to drag her ass out the restaurant. I'm like, boy, I don't know what tea or what dirt you got on her, but boy, you better spill. Come on, Gen. You're the last person I thought was going to be up in this conversation putting Jan in her. Well, no. Gen has proven time and time again he doesn't mind standing up to her or anybody else and just letting them know the business. But he was the last person I thought would potentially be involved in these family squabbles and like, hey, girl, I got some tea. So you may want to behave yourself. Come on, again. Then we had this bomb drop revelation, whatever, not really, that Sen and Na love each other. No shit. We've been talking about this. This is probably about as long as we've been talking about Nut being gay and whatnot in the series. We know this. This is not news. But then Jan again trying to stir up trouble and talk about, you know, there's a reason why your dad always called you a bastard. It's because my husband loves your mom and he's been cheating on me and this, that, the other, trying to spin this narrative like he sent his Nut's daddy. And I'm like, I don't care whether or not this narrative is true. Can we make it true? Sen, do you want to adopt Nut? Because I hate his dad. I've hated him since day one. Okay, I would love for you to be his daddy, please and thank you. And then we got a lot of flashbacks, and a lot of voiceover from Sen and Na, basically giving the perspective of what they were going through throughout the stages of Na's marriage to Sib, and basically how Sib, which again we've seen, his paranoia was getting the best of him. He's very much shown lots of signs of that's just sort of classic toxic masculinity. We're to be a manly man, and no woman is gonna hurt my feelings or disrespect me. It's a pride thing, very prideful, and the fact that like Na felt like a competition between Sib and Sen in the earlier stages of that relationship. Felt very much like a competition. Sure, Sib might have had some attraction to her. I won't fault that. But it very much feels like Sen loved her. She loved Sen. Jan wanted Sen. Sib wanted Na. But I don't know that Jan loved Sen. I don't think that Sib loved Na. They wanted them. It was a desire thing, a power thing, a pride thing. They wanted to win. They wanted to be the ones in control. They wanted the other person. Do I think that they truly loved them? No. So at the end of the day, or maybe they did love them and they thought, well, if I can just break these two up, then I can swoop in and they'll love me and I can make them love me. If that was the case, then they are naive. You can't make people love you. That's not how the heart works. That's not how the world works. No. But yes, it feels very much like a control thing, and it's like I don't. It would not catch me as a surprise. Like if I were however many years into both of these marriages, it would not come as a surprise to me if Sen and Na were, in fact, having some sort of affair. Not saying that they were, because it doesn't seem as though they were. They have feelings for each other. Those feelings don't just die. They don't just die overnight. Like, that's not how that happens. So yes, they very much have feelings for each other. They care for each other, and they are kind of permanently linked together in a sense, because the husband is his twin brother, so like unless he cuts off complete ties and has no connection to his family, y'all gonna see each other. So it's not like in time, okay, I'm not with this person, I broke up with them and I'm not gonna see them forever and ever and ever and I will eventually move on. Like that's not the case. We gonna see each other, family functions. So it would not surprise me as Jan or as Sib if some sort of romantic entanglement happened between Sen and Na, because they were in love. They were in love, and y'all broke that up. Y'all broke that up. It's not that they broke up of their own volition. They're like, you know what? I fell out of love with this person. It just isn't right, blah, blah, blah. No, they were in love, and you pulled them apart. That love is still there. It's still going to be there. And for me, I would have that paranoia in the back of my head, and it's almost like a self-fulfilling prophecy. Both Jan and Sib are paranoid about these people that they split up wanting to get back together. Yeah, no shit, Sherlock. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to make that connection. So they're worried that is going to be the case, and it's almost a self-fulfilling prophecy. The more they worry about it, the more they're kind of pushing that to happen in some sense. And it's just, so yes, Sib's insecurities definitely were getting the best of him throughout the later. I still don't remember if we know how he died. I don't know if that's come up, because there's so many times we've come to these flashbacks. I'm like, they're showing all this awful stuff that he did, and I'm like, and then you killed him. Not saying that I them actually were going to kill Sib, but I'm like, I feel like this is these are like the precursor flashbacks to like a confession, a murder confession in a movie or something. So I'm like, and then you killed him because you couldn't stand being under his thumb anymore. Like, I don't know. I don't remember if we know how he died and whatnot. It's not really important. But yeah, hella emotional there. Then we dive into Tofu trying to console and just talk to Nut in bed, and again, great conversation, and Tofu just comforting him, and giving him the kiss on the forehead, kiss on the nose, and then going in for the kiss on the lips, and Nut's just like, I gotta go to bed. And you could see visibly that Tofu was hurt by that, and it wasn't Nut's intention. Was it handled the best way? Maybe, maybe not, but it wasn't Nut's intention to hurt Tofu or anything like that. And Nut realized it, and he apologized for it later, which again, I am so happy that Nut was aware enough, self-aware enough to read the situation, read the room, and big enough to apologize for the part that he played in hurting Tofu's feelings at that point, because it wasn't his intent, again. And I understand, he just had a very emotional day, hella emotional day. He just saw his ex-boyfriend, who basically taught him how to love himself and love in general, in a coma. He thinks that this ex-boyfriend has some mental, emotional, family connection to his current boyfriend and love of his life, and so that's freaking him out. He's found out that his dad may not be his dad, which I don't think that is the case, but his uncle may have been having an affair with his mama, and his uncle might be his daddy, and a plethora of other things. So he's gone through a lot. He's got a lot of emotions he needs to talk about, or just process. So, and it might be, none of that may be what was on his mind. It might all be connected to Tarn and just that whole emotional uproar happening. Who knows? But he just wasn't in an emotional place where it's like, okay, I can give you the kissy kisses in one of the place. But again, we had conversations, we moved on. We've had really good conversations, really good, supportive, healthy conversations. Everyone expressing just what is in their heart, what is in their mind, and expressing it not just in a way of like yelling and screaming just to get it out, but expressing it in a way that's like, okay, we are having conversation, we are digesting each other's what we are saying, we are taking it in, we are processing it, we are doing something with it. We're not just talking for the sake of talking, and I appreciate it so much. What else? Then we start going through Tarn's home, and Nut is feeling some type of way because again, Tarn really never let go. Yes, he physically let go because he didn't want to endanger Nut. He wanted to make sure that he was happy, healthy, and safe. But emotionally, he never let go. He has always been there for Nut. And we saw in that one little flashback when Na was reading the magazines, like, I want to go see him, that he did make an attempt. This whole time so far, we thought that it was just him keeping his distance for Nut's sake, blah blah blah, but it turns out he did in fact make an attempt to try and come and get involved with Nut. Makes us kind of wish that maybe he tried another attempt when Nut was in town again, but it's okay. We can't change the past. The past is the past. It happened, but he did make that attempt, and it starts bringing up all these very real questions of what ifs. What if I had been home? What if I wasn't out of town? What if my mom remembered? Again, Mama was going through some things early. I don't know how, or she said this was just around the time or shortly after they had moved here, so still relatively fresh. She's in a new environment. She's got these mental issues that are undiagnosed, or maybe they've been diagnosed and she's just not telling, whatever. She's got a lot of things going on upstairs right now, so she forgot. She wiped that, and she Dumbledored that shit out of her brain. Wiped, gone, clean, slate clean. So Tatarn, don't know him. No, that's your book, girl. That's not my book. That's your book. I ain't never seen that book a day in my life. You should put up your book. So I understand where Nuts again, and he even said it. He's not so much angry at his mom as it is just the situation, because he's wanted to say thank you to this person and apologize to this person for so long, and right now this person's in a coma. He may not get a chance to, but had his mom remembered, or had he been home or whatever, he may have gotten the opportunity to have that conversation. Granted, I don't know if back then he would have been in the emotional place that he is now, and really, I don't know that it would have been just a thank you and apology. It may have been a rekindling of a romance or something like that, because before Tofu came into the picture, Tarn was his one and only, and he's just kind of locked himself off since then. So it may have been turned into, okay, let's try and do this relationship thing versus just an apology thing, and who knows where that relationship would have gone. It may have worked out, and there would have been no need for Tofu. Tofu wouldn't have had to come to life, or maybe it wouldn't have worked out and they would have broken up. Who knows? Who knows? We can't live in these what ifs, and that's basically what Gen and Song were trying to get through to him. Like, hey, we can't really focus on these what ifs because we can't change the past. All we can really do is appreciate the time we have with the people in the present. Try not to worry too much about the future. Like, yes, worry about the future, because that's always good to plan. But just enjoy the people we have in the present. But yeah, before all that happened, we went looking through Tarn's house, and we saw where the cactus is psychic, because Tofu didn't open his mouth one damn bit. He thought things. I guess he was thinking out loud. And that cactus heard him. He's like, "What do you mean you're a teddy bear come to life? How can this be?" And the whole conversation this cactus and the teddy bear were having, like, this cactus looked shook the whole time. He's just like, oh, poor cactus. I'm still trying to process how I feel about this. The conveniency of this cactus coming to life right now. Granted, it's probably always been alive, but there's been no one around with the ability to hear or realize that it is a, living, breathing object before Tofu came around. But there's part of me that's like, okay, I like that we have this reveal. Then there's the other part of me that's like, this feels a little convenient. This feels like a convenient way for us to implicate Jan and Sen even more. But that's okay. It's happened. We got confirmation that they were in fact there. The incident took place in the house. They were there. It doesn't seem as though they were the ones who dealt the blow, potentially, because we saw earlier in the season, we saw that conversation, that argument that Tarn and Sen were having. We saw that happen. And then we saw someone pick up a vase, bash him over the head. We didn't see who hit him. We just saw two sets of people come and grab the body. And then we heard that a woman came to clean up, but they missed the spot. There was one piece of vase that was left there, which I don't know if there's really anything we can do with that. I don't know if there's fingerprints on that face. I don't know. Well, I mean, aside from Tofu's fingerprints at this point, I don't know if that's enough to really implicate or research. I don't know if anything can really be done with that little bit of something. But we as the audience at least have confirmation that yes, Sen and Jan are in some way, shape, or form involved, which we've known already from just their shady conversations and whatnot. Why? Not entirely certain yet. It probably has something to do with the business, because I think Tarn was like picketing or rioting or whatever outside of the Jan's family, daddy's business or whatnot. So maybe, who knows? But yeah, we got that, and then we spent a lot of the rest of the episode dealing with the realization of Na's declining mental state, which it's not a surprise. It's nothing new. We've seen it coming. We've seen the signs, especially us as the audience. We've seen the warning signs, and we knew that this was coming at some point. And the moment has finally arrived. It's unfortunate that right when their relationship seems to be on the mend, this has to come into the picture. But I think that is just one of the reasons one of the few reasons Tofu was sent or came to life at this particular point. One of the miracles of the teddy bear. It's not just to get Nut to learn to love again. It's not just to let Nut rekindle his relationship with his mom. It's, hey, let's get this stuff done while there's time. Granted, Nut did not know any of this stuff was going on with Na, but it's like, let's mend this relationship while we can. Let's build these new memories while we can, because if they had not, Na would have, gone Alzheimer's and, lost her memory, lost all that kind of stuff, and Nut would basically have only seen his mother as this antagonist that he saw her as all the way up till that point in time. So, she would have died whenever she naturally passed. She would have gone, and Nut would have really no good emotional tie to his mother. Everything up to that point has just been a negative. There's a lot of stuff that we've discussed and sort of worked out over the last 2 or 3 episodes. Everything before that, every interaction they had has just been this drenched in this negative energy, drenched in this negativity and this just sort of resentfulness that Nuts had towards his parents for stifling him as a child, for trying to make him conform to societal norms of being heterosexual or whatever. He's had so much anger and aggression just bottled up for years, and he would have lived the rest of his life with that anger and aggression pointed towards his mother, had it not been for Tofu coming when he did and starting the chain reaction that led to the place that we are now. So yes, it is very unfortunate that her health is taking this decline, but that is the world. That is just the world. The world is not there. Sometimes good people get sick, and that's just it. So all they really can do right now is just be there for her, and we don't know how long it will take before memory is completely gone. I know one of my bosses, their mother is living with that, and she's pretty far gone at this particular point. I think she's in assisted living, but it took a while to get to this point where it's like, okay, she's just gone, and they'll visit on the daily, have lunch, whatever it is with her, and conversations, and it's just like she's checked out. So I don't know how long it will take for Na to reach that point. We don't know how much time they have left. It's different with every person, so we don't know how much time they have left, but it's clearly those symptoms are setting in, and they're setting in hard. The forgetfulness, the walking and forgetting where you're going, forgetting what you wanted to say, forgetting things you were thinking about, forgetting things you did, it's setting in hard for Na. And I'm glad that they've at least mended their relationship to a place now where they can spend the rest of the time that they do have together just building better memories. But when Na was confessing to Nut about what the doctor told her, this, that, the other, oh God, I started crying because it hit not particularly close to home in the sense that my mom doesn't have Alzheimer's or anything like that, but I've lived, well, I don't live with her, but I've lived with a sick mother in my life for decades at this point, all stemming from a car accident that devolved into various declining health things, paired with traumas and whatnot that she's had since, you know, her childhood and whatnot. So it's like I've had those conversations before where it's like, you know, we're not sure of what the outcome's going to be. I remember when she went through some of her preliminary surgeries decades ago, and not sure if it's going to work. Is she going to survive? What, we don't know. I remember having these conversations. I remember being that, you know, feeling like that helpless kid sitting down at his mom's side, just like, are you going to be okay? Please be okay. I don't want you to be hurt. I don't want this for you, please. So it's like just seeing him sit on the floor next to her, just looking up at her, tears welling in his eyes, and just her explaining the gravity of the situation. It was just like, oh, baby. I know, baby. I know, honey. Yeah, lots of emotions. I've talked enough. This is a 2-hour video. Hope you guys had a snack, or grab dinner or something like that. But yeah, I'm gonna stop talking so I can record maybe like 1 or 2 other videos before I go to bed, because like I said, I am flying out to Vegas tomorrow, so I've got to get to bed soon because I gotta be up early in the morning. Got an early flight. Oh goodness, I don't know why I do this to myself. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this reaction. If you did, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share, turn on notifications to be notified when all my shenanigans get posted. If there's anything else you'd like me to react to, be sure to leave it down in the comments. I'll get to it as soon as I possibly can. If you'd like to support the channel in other ways, you're more than welcome to join us over on Patreon.